Hi, I'm Bradford Pyle, and this is my CT110 online post. Tonight I'd like to talk about the Arduino. We had a class where we learned how to use them, and I was so inspired that I bought myself one and have been playing around with some of the experiments. Tonight I'm hoping to take you guys through one of my favorite ones. Thank you.
Before we get started, I find it helpful to understand the basics of a circuit. If we understand that a circuit has 5 basic parts, the source, the safety, the control, the load, and the ground, that helps when it comes to wiring up the breadboard for the Arduino. If we understand that a source is the area we get power from, in our case it would be the wall or the power plant. Cars, it's often your lead acid battery. In a safety, that is our fuse, or something in the event of a short circuit that protects our components from being burnt out. In our house, that's our breaker box. So that would be our safety system for our Arduinos. Number 3 is the control, plain and simple, is switch. Number 4 is our load. In our case, we're going to be using LED lights. So I've got light emitting diodes drawn on our circuit right here. And then the 5th component that we need is a ground. Thus, completing the circuit, the electricity goes back to its source, completing a circle. Our next step is understanding the breadboard. Now, the breadboard is the component that we'll be wiring all our electronics into. It holds everything in place and it relays the electricity where it needs to go. An aspect of the breadboard that we really need to understand before we get started here is that these holes right here exist in series. So we're going to imagine these holes in the row cross like that versus the columns up and down. These guys right here, think of them almost like a power bar that you would plug all your electronic components in at your home. As we're going about and as we're wiring our circuit up, we will be plugging in various LED lights into the breadboard like so. We need to understand though, when electricity gets to a row, that whole row is energized. However, that row is still isolated from a next row unless there is a component linking them together. So for tonight's experiment, we'll be using a 560 ohm resistor. We'll be using wires. We're going to be using a red, green, blue LED. You're going to love this guy. He's going to make all sorts of great colors for us. We'll be using 5mm LEDs. And because I only have a green and I only have a red, substituting for a blue, we'll use this 10mm LED. So we're going to start with our red, green, blue LED. Now, if you notice, he has 4 wires coming out the bottom of him. Now, the only thing that we really need to understand here is that the longest wire is our ground wire. So we're going to take him and I'm going to plug him in. Let's put my ground on my 9 side here, and I'll just push him down here till he fits in like that. Now, because 9 is my ground, what I'm going to do, just so I stay organized, is I'm going to get my ground set up. So I'm going to take one of my wires and my ground wires and plug him into the 9, and I'm just going to hop him over to this side right here for now. Okay, my next step is I'm going to take some of our resistors, there we go, boom, some of our resistors, and my red, green, blue, he's got 3 lights in him, so he needs 3 resistors. So he needs a resistor for the red, the green, and the blue. So I'm going to plug the resistor right here into the breadboard. It might take a couple little goes here, but we'll get it. Okay, and bring him around here. And I'll plug him in on that side. Boom. Then I'm going to go and do another one right here. Plug him in on this side. Okay. We'll find out if I don't get them plugged in. They just won't work. And then I'll plug in one guy here. And I'll go to this side. Now, I will match this by putting the color wire here, red, green, blue. My next step are my LEDs. Now, I have to understand for my LEDs, they have two lines on them. Now, the longer line, that is my positive side. The shorter side is my negative side. So the shorter side is my ground. Electricity always has to travel positive to negative. So the positive side of my circuit has to connect to the positive side of my LED. So I'm going to plug this guy in like so. Boom. This guy in. That'll do just fine. So now I've got, these will be my power and signal wires going to my red, green, blue LED here. Here's the resistors, making sure that they're getting the correct amount of current. Now for our little experiment, we have to get power over to these little guys right here. Now, if you remember, I had said that they have a positive side and a negative side. So I have to make sure that I connect this wire on the positive side. So I'll plug them in here, and then I'll just go into play the color matching game, and I'll take him over here to the red line and plug him right in like so. I'm going to take my green wire, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to take him and put him on the positive side of my green LED, and then I'll plug him in right behind there, like so. And then finally, because I don't have a blue, I am substituting my 10 millimeter for a blue, so I'll plug my 10 millimeter right here, and then I will connect him like so. And there's only one more step that we need to do. We need to take these three little guys here. We have to take them over to the ground. And now we have grounded on this side. Now, if I tip our breadboard here like that, one difference between these positive and negative side on the side of the breadboard is they're all connected in series in columns. So I just have to touch my ground to the column, and that's going to get me grounded back to my board. So I'm going to I'll put my ground wire right here for good measure. This is going to attach up to the Arduino when we get there. And then I'm going to ground these three LEDs through their resistors on their negative sides. So I'll just plug them in like so. Yeah, whoopsie doodle. There we go. And then I'll tip him over. Grab another one. Make sure I'm on the negative side. There we go. Like so. And then we'll get this 10 millimeter guy. Boom, right there. And plug him in right there. And our breadboard is now wired up. We're ready to connect to the Arduino. Okay, so now we're going to connect our breadboard to our little Arduino right here. I'm going to take the red wire, this guy, and I'm going to plug him into the 9 slot right here. I'm going to take my blue, go into the 10 slot, and I'll take my green and go into the 11 spot. So that is going to send power and signal over to our breadboard. But once the electrons, after they go and do their job, and their job's going to be turning those lights on, they get tired and they want to go home. So they have to go home through the ground wire, and I'm going to take the ground wire and plug it into the board on the ground. Next step, I'm going to take USB, simple enough, and I'm going to plug the USB into the Arduino, whoopsie doodle, and then, whoopsie doodle, I'm going to plug him into the computer. Now it's time for us to program our Arduino. So when it's time to program our Arduino, we're going to do circuit 12 from the Arduino experimenter kit that I got from Solar Botics in Calgary. So I just went to ardx.org/src/crc/circ12 code. I went to this website right here. You guys can see it on the video. Maybe I can post a link to it, whatever. Right here, we have all the code that we need for this circuit. Plain and simple. So this is the part that makes me feel smart, even though that may not be the case. Because I can take all this wonderful, beautiful code and I can just highlight it with my mouse and scroll down and grab all this code. And then I can right click and copy this code. Now this is what is absolutely brilliant about the Arduino technology, is the open source nature of the code. How it is a shared online free philosophy so that people can go and practice and experiment and search and play at their leisure without having to worry about copyright and whatnot. So I will open my Arduino sketch right here, and all I have to do is right click, paste, and all my code, or all the open source code, comes on up in the window. I can come up to this check mark right here, and I'll just compile it to make sure that there is no errors. So check this, and it will tell me, it says done compiling, there's no errors, it likes it. So then I'm going to press this upload button, and it's going to send it over to my Arduino. And if we look down here, we'll watch our little lights will be flashing on and off and changing colors.